I'm Grace Harper, 62, CEO of Harper Luxe Properties, and my life is a symphony of polished granite and tempered steel. Every deal I close, every handshake I offer, it's all calculated, deliberate, like the way I adjust the sapphire cufflinks on my tailored blazer. I've built an empire in Chicago's cutthroat real estate world, and I don't bend for anyone. Tonight, though, there's a hum in the air I can't quite place. It's the Pinnacle Gala, the annual gathering where the city's property tycoons flash their wealth under crystal chandeliers. The ballroom smells of aged whiskey and expensive perfume, and I'm right where I belong, at the center of it all. I step up to the podium, my midnight blue gown catching the light just enough to turn heads. The fabric clings in all the right places, a quiet reminder that power doesn't fade with age. My silver hair is swept into a chignon, sharp and precise, and when I speak, the room hushes. Ambition isn't a gift, I say, my voice carrying over the clink of champagne flutes. It's a choice. Legacy? That's what you carve out when everyone else has gone home. The crowd, mostly men with graying temples and egos bigger than their portfolios, leans in. I finish and the applause rolls through like thunder. I nod, stepping down, my heels clicking on the marble floor with a rhythm that says, I own this night. That's when I see him. Lucas Bennett, 34, one of my project managers, is leaning against the bar across the room. He's not the kind of man who fades into the woodwork, sharp jawline, broad shoulders, filling out a charcoal suit, and an ease that makes you notice. He's holding a whiskey neat, the amber liquid catching the light, and his hazel eyes lock onto mine. It's not just admiration there, it's something bolder, something that doesn't flinch. He raises his glass in a silent toast, a half smile tugging at his lips. Heat flickers somewhere deep inside me, uninvited. I ignore it, turning away to scan the room. Old habits die hard. I weave through the crowd, shaking hands, trading barbs with developers twice my size. The air's thick with cigar smoke and ambition, but I feel him watching me. It's not loud or obvious, just a steady pull, like a current under still water. I'm mid-sentence with a balding investor when Lucas appears at my side, smooth as if he's been there all along. Hell of a speech, Grace, he says, his voice low, sliding over me like velvet. I tilt my head, letting a brow arch. I'd hope so, Lucas. I've been at this longer than you've been alive. He laughs, and it's a deep, warm sound that cuts through the chatter around us. It's not about practice. You own it. Every word, every pause. His eyes don't waver, and there's no trace of the usual flattery I get from men trying to climb my ladder. I sip my wine, the cool glass grounding me. Flattery doesn't move me, you know. He shrugs, casual but deliberate. Not flattery, just a fact. The directness throws me off balance, not because it's brash, but because it isn't. He's not pushing, he's just there. I turn away, steering the conversation back to safer ground. How's the Lakeshore project coming? I ask, nodding toward a cluster of execs across the room. Ahead of schedule, he replies, stepping closer to match my stride. You'll see the plans Monday. His sleeve brushes mine as we move, accidental, but enough to make my pulse kick. I don't flinch, don't let him see it. I've spent decades mastering this game. Men don't rattle Grace Harper. The band strikes up a new tune, something jazzy and slow, and the crowd thins as people drift to the bar or the dance floor. Lucas lingers, his presence a quiet weight I can't shake. You don't mingle much, I say, testing him. He smirks, swirling his drink. Only when it's worth it. There's no arrogance in it, just that same steady confidence that's starting to feel like a challenge. I glance at him, really look, and catch the way his tie sits just loose enough to hint at something less polished underneath. It's a fleeting thought, one I shove aside as I excuse myself to greet another guest. But as I move through the room, his gaze follows. Not loud, not desperate, just there, like the Chicago skyline glowing through the windows. I tell myself it's nothing, just another young gun trying to make his mark. Yet something about that look, that toast, sticks with me, a splinter under my skin I can't quite pull out. The band shifts gears, sliding into a slow jazz number that curls through the ballroom like smoke. Couples drift onto the dance floor, their shadows swaying under the dim glow of the chandeliers. I'm sipping my wine, letting the cool rim of the glass steady me, when Lucas steps forward. He's close now, close enough that I catch the faint cedar in his cologne. "One dance?" he says, extending a hand. His tone's light, almost playful, but his hazel eyes hold a dare, steady and unblinking. I hesitate. The room's watching. Old men with their wives, execs with their egos, and I could brush him off without a ripple. No one would blink if Grace Harper said no. But there's a restlessness clawing at me, something I haven't felt in years. And before I can talk myself out of it, my hand's in his. His grip's warm, firm, but not tight, and he leads me out with a quiet ease that surprises me. His other hand settles on my waist, light as a whisper against the silk of my gown, and we start to move. He's good, damn good. His steps match mine like we've done this 100 times, the rhythm pulling us into sync. The space between us hums, electric but not loud, and I feel the eyes of the room fade away. "You're not like the rest," he says, his voice cutting through the melody. I smirk, tilting my head up to meet his gaze. "Older, you mean?" He shakes his head, a faint grin tugging at his mouth. "No, you don't need to prove anything. You just are." His fingers brush mine as we turn, lingering a beat too long, and my breath catches before I can stop it. The words land harder than they should. I'm used to being the untouchable CEO, the woman who commands boardrooms and bends markets to her will. Not this, not someone seeing me like I'm more than the title etched on my office door. I keep my face smooth, my posture sharp. "Careful, Lucas. I've heard better lines from men twice your age." He chuckles, low and easy. "Not a line. Just what I see." His hand shifts on my waist, barely a nudge, but it's enough to make my skin prickle under the fabric. We drift in to talk about work, the Lakeshore project, timelines, the new zoning push downtown. Safe ground. Familiar. But it's the silences that get me. The way his thumb grazes my knuckles when he adjusts his hold. The way his eyes linger when I glance at the crowd. The song stretches on, and I catch a glint of silver in his hair under the lights. Not gray, just the sheen of youth against my own. It's a stupid thing to notice, but it sticks. "You don't dance much," I say, testing the waters. He shrugs, guiding me through a slow spin. "Only when it matters." There's no swagger in it, just that quiet certainty that's starting to feel like a hook in my chest. I don't answer, just let the music carry us. His touch stays light, respectful, but there's a weight to it I can't ignore. A pull that's got nothing to do with the steps we're taking. The song winds down, the last notes fading into the hum of the gala. I step back, breaking the contact, my hand slipping from his with a deliberate coolness. "Good night, Lucas," I say, my voice steady as ever. He nods, that half smile still there, but he doesn't push. "Night, Grace." I turn before he can say more, my heels clicking as I weave through the crowd, the air feeling thicker than it did before. I don't look back. I don't need to. I can feel him standing there, watching me go, and it takes everything I've got to keep my shoulders square. That dance, it was just a moment, a blip in a night full of noise. But as I reach the edge of the room, my wine glass cold against my palm, I know it's lodged itself somewhere deep. A spark I can't quite snuff out. Days bleed into each other after the gala, and I throw myself into the grind like it's my lifeline. I'm Grace Harper. Control is my currency, and I don't let a single dance throw me off my game. Contracts pile up on my desk, blueprints sprawl across the conference table, and I'm out on site visits before the sun's fully up, barking orders over the roar of construction. Lucas is still around, of course. His name's on every Lakeshore update, his signature sharp on the reports I skim late at night. But he keeps it clean. A nod in the hallway, a morning grace, that's all business. Maybe I read too much into that night. Maybe it was just champagne and jazz playing tricks on me. Still, he's there, creeping into my head when I least expect it. I'll catch myself staring at a pen on my desk, remembering the way his suit jacket stretched over his shoulders. the way his voice rolled out low and sure. It's nonsense, dangerous nonsense, and I snap out of it fast. I chew out my assistant for a typo in an email, my tone sharper than it needs to be, and she scurries off with wide eyes. I lean back in my chair, rubbing my temples. Grace Harper doesn't unravel over a man half her age. I've got a company to run. The office empties out as the week drags on, and I stay late, the city lights glinting off the glass walls of my corner suite. I'm elbow deep in a zoning proposal, the numbers blurring under the glow of my desk lamp, when there's a knock. I don't look up right away, probably legal with another update, but then I hear his voice. "Burning the midnight oil again?" Lucas steps in, tie loosened, sleeves rolled up to his elbows. He's holding a rolled blueprint, the edges worn from use. I set my pen down, leaning back with a sigh. "Still here this late yourself?" He smirks, crossing the room to drop the blueprint on my desk. "Last revisions for Lakeshore. Figured you'd want them tonight." I unroll it, scanning the clean lines of his work, solid, precise, better than I expected. "Not bad," I say, flipping a page. "High praise from you," he replies, and there's a lightness to it, but something else too, a weight that hangs in the air. He doesn't leave. Instead, he leans against the edge of my desk, arms crossed, watching me with that same unreadable look from the gala. I feel it like a pulse in the room. "Something on your mind?" I ask, keeping my tone even. He hesitates, just a beat, then straightens. "You're avoiding something, Grace." I let out a sharp laugh, shaking my head. "Don't be absurd. I've got a dozen deals breathing down my neck. Avoiding's not an option." He doesn't buy it. His eyes stay locked on mine, steady as stone. "That dance? It wasn't nothing. You felt it too." The words hit like a slap. Quiet, but dead on. I set the blueprint aside, folding my hands to keep them still. "Lucas, I've built my entire career keeping lines clear. Whatever you think happened that night." He cuts me off, voice low but firm. "I know what happened, and so do you." The silence that follows is thick, a storm brewing between us. I could shut this down, send him packing with a word, and be done with it. I've done it before, to men bolder than him. But there's a truth in his stare I can't dodge, and it's clawing at the walls I've spent decades building. "You're playing with fire," I say, my voice barely above a murmur. He gives a slow smile. Not cocky. Just sure. "Maybe you like the heat." The air tightens, stretching thin between us. I stand, putting the desk between us, my hands braced on its edge. "You should go." For a second, I think he'll push back. His jaw tightens, his eyes flicker, but then he nods. "All right." He turns for the door, but pauses, half in shadow. "You can dodge this all you want, Grace, but it's still there." Then he's gone, the click of the door echoing in the empty office. I don't move for a long time. The blueprint sits there, his handwriting scrawled in the margins, and I can still feel the weight of his words pressing down. I tell myself it's nothing, an itch I can ignore, a distraction I'll bury under work. But as I sink back into my chair, the city skyline staring back at me, I know I'm lying. That spark from the gala's still burning, and I'm not sure I've got the strength to put it out. The next week hits like a freight train. I'm in the middle of a board meeting, laying out our next big push, when the news drops. A rival firm's poached our top client, a multi-million-dollar downtown deal. Worse, they've got our sealed bids, every number, every strategy, word for word. The room goes silent, then erupts. I keep my face stone cold, but inside, I'm reeling. It's not just the loss, it's the betrayal. Miles, my COO and friend of 20 years, sold us out. I find the proof later that night in an encrypted email he didn't cover well enough. The sting cuts deeper than I'll ever admit. I rally the team, no time for wallowing. We're in damage control, late nights, war rooms, coffee gone cold in styrofoam cups. I'm barking orders, pacing the conference room in heels that ache, my voice sharp enough to slice through the panic. "We pivot to the West Loop project," I say, jabbing a finger at the map on the wall. "Double down, lock it up before they sniff it out." The team nods, bleary-eyed but moving. I'm exhausted, running on fumes, but I've handled crises before. This is what I do. Alone, always alone. By Friday, the office is a ghost town past midnight. I'm still here, hunched over spreadsheets, the glow of my laptop casting shadows on the glass walls. My head's pounding, my blouse wrinkled, but I keep going, hunting for a way to claw us back. A knock pulls me out of it. I don't look up, expecting legal with another update, but it's Lucas who steps in. He's in a rumpled shirt, sleeves pushed up, hair mussed like he's been at it as long as I have. "Go home, Grace," he says, voice firm but soft, like he's talking me off a ledge. I rub my temples, not meeting his eyes. Not an option. He steps closer, the faint cedar of his cologne cutting through the stale air. "You're running on empty, you can't fix this tonight." I lean back in my chair, forcing a smirk. "I appreciate the concern, Lucas, but I'll manage." He doesn't budge, just watches me, arms crossed, his hazel eyes pinning me in place. It's not pity, never that, just a quiet steadiness that makes me want to squirm. "You don't have to do this alone," he says, and it lands like a punch. I exhale sharply, shaking my head. "Don't start with that again." He moves closer, planting his hands on the desk, leaning in just enough that I can't dodge him. "Just listen, Grace. I don't stop him this time. Don't know if I can." His voice drops, low and raw. "You're so used to being the strongest one here, you don't let anyone stand beside you. But you don't have to carry this by yourself." I look away, out at the city lights smearing through the window. "That's how I've survived," I say, the words slipping out before I can catch them. He doesn't flinch. "But is it how you want to live?" That question. It's a blade, sharper than anything he's said before, because I don't have an answer. I've spent decades building this armor, convincing myself its strength. Now it feels like a cage, and he's standing there holding the key. The silence stretches, heavy and thick. My hands clench the arms of my chair, knuckles white. I could push him away, tell him to get out, bury this under another layer of work. I've done it 1,000 times. But tonight, with Miles's betrayal still burning in my chest and the weight of this mess pressing down, I don't. "I don't know any other way," I say, voice quieter than I mean it to be. His expression softens, but he doesn't back off. "Then let me help you figure it out." He's close now, close enough that I can see the lines of his jaw, the faint stubble catching the light. My pulse kicks up, a traitor I can't control. I should send him packing, keep the lines clean like always. But that spark from the gala, the one I've been dodging, flares up, and I'm too tired to fight it. "Lucas?" I start, but he shakes his head, cutting me off. "You don't need to say anything. Just don't push me away this time." I don't. He straightens, stepping back, giving me space, but not leaving. I stare at the spreadsheets, the numbers blurring, and for the first time in years, I let myself feel the cracks in my walls. He's still there, a quiet anchor in the chaos, and I don't know if it's weakness or courage that keeps me from telling him to go. Maybe it's both. The city hums outside, oblivious, and I sit there, caught between the woman I've always been and the one I might still become. It's Monday, and I'm alone in my office, the city skyline stretching out beyond the glass like a silent judge. I've barely slept since Friday. Miles's betrayal, the client loss, the endless scramble to hold it all together. My desk's a war zone of reports and coffee cups, but it's not the chaos out there that's got me tangled up. It's Lucas. His words from that night, "Let me help you figure it out," keep circling, picking at the edges of everything I've built. Control's been my shield, my strength. But now it's a weight I can't shake, dragging me down with every breath. I've spent decades perfecting this life. Grace Harper, the untouchable CEO, the woman who doesn't flinch. Lucas saw through it, not with force, but with that quiet, patient way of his, like he knew I'd crack eventually. I tell myself it's foolish. I'm 62, old enough to know better than to let a man half my age unravel me. But the truth's louder than my excuses. I want this. I want him. It's not just the pull of his steady gaze or the way his touch lingers in my memory. It's the freedom he's offering. A chance to let go of the reins I've gripped so tight they've left marks. A soft knock breaks the silence. I don't need to look up to know it's him. Lucas steps in, shutting the door behind him with a quiet click. He's in a dark sweater today. No tie, no pretense. Just him, standing there with that same unshakable calm. He doesn't speak at first, letting the air settle between us. I lean back in my chair, folding my hands to keep them steady. "You're persistent," I say, my voice dry but not sharp. He moves closer, stopping just shy of my desk. "I meant what I said, Grace." I nod, exhaling slow. "I know." His eyes don't waver, searching mine like he's waiting for me to bolt. "Then what are you so afraid of?" he asks, voice low, cutting straight to the bone. I look away, out at the city's glow, the answer clawing its way up. This isn't how my life was supposed to go. He lets out a soft chuckle, shaking his head. "Life doesn't give a damn about plans. You know that better than anyone." He's right, and I hate it. I meet his gaze again, hunting for doubt, for a crack in that quiet certainty. There's nothing, just him, standing there, real and steady. "You think this is simple?" I ask, my tone sharper than I mean it. "No," he says, stepping closer, his hands resting on the desk's edge. "But that doesn't mean it isn't real." My heart's pounding now, a drumbeat I can't quiet. I've spent years dodging moments like this, convincing myself the walls I built made me stronger. But standing here, with him so close I can feel the warmth off him, I see it. They've just kept me alone. I stand, slow and deliberate, closing the distance between us. The air's thick, charged, but he doesn't move, lets me decide, like he's done all along. My hand hovers near his arm, then drops. "I don't need promises," I say, voice barely above a whisper. "I don't need forever." He tilts his head, a faint smile tugging at his mouth. "Good. I'm not asking for that." His hand lifts, brushing my cheek, light as a breath, and something in me snaps loose. I step into him, my fingers curling into his sweater, and he meets me halfway. It's not a rush, no grand declarations or desperate grabs, just a quiet collision, his lips warm against mine, steady and sure. His hand slides to my neck, thumb grazing my jaw, and for the first time in years, I let go. Not of everything, just enough to feel the weight lift, to breathe without the armor choking me. It's not wild or reckless. It's a release, a freedom I didn't know I'd been starving for. When we pull back, his forehead rests against mine, his breath mingling with my own. "You okay?" he murmurs, and I nod, a small laugh slipping out. "Better than I've been in a while." He smiles, full and real, and steps back, giving me space but not leaving. I sink into my chair, the city still humming outside, and he settles into the one across from me. We don't say much after that, just sit there, the silence comfortable, the tension gone. It's not about what comes next. I don't need to map it out, don't need to control it. For once, it's enough to be here to let this, whatever it is, unfold. Lucas doesn't push, doesn't ask for more than I'm ready to give. And as the skyline glitters beyond the glass, I feel something shift inside me. Not a surrender, but a choice. For the first time in decades, I'm not fighting what's already begun.